Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Broke is No Joke podcast, where we help Kingdom women become master of their minds and money. I am a strong believer that you can dream big regardless of the size of your bank account. And the goal for our listeners is for them to prosper financially and grow spiritually. This is Kingdom Wealth. Today, I have with me a wonderful Kingdom woman, and we are going to be discussing about your facing your financial fears as a Christian. My guest today is Charlene Tilbanie, and she is a chartered accountant by profession with over 20 years experience, and she has been consumer debt free for over 10 years. And I love that, Charlene. Let me say that she believes that everyone should be financially literate and have the ability to experience some measure of financial freedom. And this has triggered her passion for personal finance. And this was birthed out of her own personal financial journey. Her personal experience, coupled with her professional background, as a chartered accountant, has led her to personal financial coaching, where she helps female Christian professionals and solopreneurs build confidence with their money, build excellent money habits, and tap into their own version of financial freedom. That's a whole mouthful, Charlene. I love it, just looking at, what you have done and where you are and what you do for us as women is very important. And my first question to you today is just to ask you, what has inspired you? What has been your big inspiration of starting your own financial journey?
It started from me literally being broke. That's where it stemmed from. I had a rock bottom moment in 2010, which led me to realizing that I could not continue along the same path that I had to change something, or else I would be continually working hard with nothing to show for it. I had horrible spending habits. I had landed a good job right after college, was earning decent money, but sadly had nothing to show for it because I was spending it all and then spending more, pretty much what I didn't have. So, you know how it works. If you're spending more than what you are bringing in, that means you're using debt to finance your lifestyle. And that was my story 4 years. It culminated in me having about 22,000 US dollars of debt. A lot of it was personal loans, consumer debt, car loans, um, credit cards, numerous unsecured loans. And it got to the point one day in 2010 when one of the banks who I owed money to, they thought that I was about to abandon my obligation. So I had just gotten paid. They went into my account, saw that there was enough money in my account to pay off all the money I owed them. So they essentially took it. Wow. So I went to the ATM to draw money as per regular on month end, only to find out that there was less than $100 in my bank account. That was my rock bottom, something needs to change moment. Because for years I thought it was an income problem, when all along it was just a spending issue and a mindset issue. So that spurred my interest in getting started on the financial journey. Fast forward 15 months, I paid it all off and I've never looked back since, and that has been over 10 years ago. Along the journey, I developed this passion for personal finance because I realized that even though I was an accountant, trained accountant, went to college, even college, and studied this thing, got my professional designation, and knew business finance inside out, as it related to personal finance, it was totally different and no one taught me. So I realized that many in my surroundings, many in my community were struggling with the same thing, and it was simply a lack of knowledge and a lack of strategy. So that's where it all started from. My own rock bottom, come to Jesus moment, I call it.
Thank you so much, Charlene, for sharing that inspiring story with us. And I must say, we have similar stories, and maybe that is the reason why you're on Broke is No Joke podcast today. I didn't even know you had that rock bottom moment of being broke where you just decide that this is it, right? This is it. And that's one of the main reason why I started this podcast, because being broke is no joke. It's not any joke at all. Just imagine you want to get your money to go buy food. You have your own monthly responsibilities, and just to find out you don't have the money to cover it. So being broke can cloud our judgment. It can make us look, feel even, depressed, and you go out to swipe your card and you're here. And these people, they don't take time to say, ma'am, you don't have any money today. Your card is declined. You- yeah, and then it's shameful situation. So we don't want women to be going through these same experiences, and that is one of the reasons why we're having this topic today. So you did make a few points, and I just wanted to highlight a few of the things that you say, that even though you went to school, you are a chartered accountant, you were working in the professional, you have been in the profession, you have been doing the job, but yet still you were not a good money manager.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think one of the big things, Charlene, with many women is the fact that they are not good money managers. And it's never the income, as you say. It's mostly a mindset problem. And I want you to, just to share with our audience today how they can actually change their beliefs and their mindset when it comes on to how they spend their money or their money relationship.
So for me, it's two-pronged. It's mindset and it's not having a strategy. As it relates to the mindset piece, if you are not exposed to certain things, you, you pretty much don't know what you don't know. And I find that a lot of women grow up in environments where they're exposed to cultures, to nuances, to things from other persons that pretty much teach them that where you were born and the circumstances in which you were born, it dictates, it's essentially how you will live your life. You just have to make do with what you are given and hope for the best. For those in the church, we pray and we fast and we have faith, but that is essentially where it stops. The mindset shift that needs to take place is that yes, this might be the situation now, but it does not have to remain the same. It is possible to change the environment, change the circumstances, change the situation. And it starts with exposing yourself to other persons who know better and do better. So for anybody who is struggling with this, I always say take a look at what you are reading, take a look at who you are listening to, take a look at who you are talking to regularly, and see if these persons, if these things are helping you along your money journey or hindering you. Many of the things that we come to believe, it's just ingrained. We think that that's just how it will always be, and we don't realize that there is better out there, that there is a possibility to think differently, to do differently. We could take something as simple as those who grew up in poverty, or grew up in certain circumstances where they did not have enough. Right? That person, when they leave their community, they will realize that, hey, it is possible to earn more. It is possible to have multiple streams of income. It is possible to start investing and have my money working for me. But that person would never have been exposed to that if they stayed in the same community, have hung around the same set of friends, the same set of people, had the same conversations day in and day out. So it starts with what you're listening to, who you're talking to regularly, what you are reading, what you are consuming, even online, I would dare say.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And that is so true. And when we speak about having a strategy and the fact that most of our behavioral habits when it comes on to money, I talk about this in coaching, that is the money blueprint. It is the foundation of how we think, how we see, how we spend, how we save, how we sow, whatever it is that we do with money or money habits. It stems from our beliefs, and this is created by the blueprints, and this usually is created by our environment, as you said, how we saw our parents, those around us, how they spend money, how they react to money. So, a lot of people believe, Charlene, that because I saw mom maybe had to be stingy and she didn't have enough, then I have to keep on pinching to live in this survival mode. And that is something that I see that is crippling a lot of women of faith, which is one of the things what we are talking about today. Because yes, I understand that we know you can't. What about worldly wealth? This is something I always say too. Why have worldly wealth if you're spiritually poor? So yes, you have to understand that we're going to seek God for everything. And that's one of my Bible verse I live off of. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and everything else will be added on to you. Matthew 6 verse 33. So yes, we are seeking God. We are understanding. We are trusting God. And we are believing him for everything. Right? But we also have to know that you can't just always, you're not going to be constantly thinking about money all the time and thinking, hey, I want the money, but you're not working on transforming yourself inside out and to build a relationship with God, where now when he sees that you are at a place of operating in his will, then he's going to say, hey Charlie, I see that you're at this place. I can, you can go ahead and understand more about how to use your finances. Because I think when we're a better person on a whole, in terms of how we feel, how we think, then spending money will we kind of pattern that life of how to be better with money and be good money managers. So it stems from our beliefs, where we get our money relationship stories, how we build our money stories, and our environment in which we are grown, which you said. And another thing is that you talk about faith, not because we are faithful, meaning that money is going to fall from the sky. Because I've had a really conversation and someone is saying that you're trusting God to give, but God also has given you the ability, right, Charlene?
And the ability.
Yes. So you should go labor, right?
Exactly.
And then you will have success, you will have wealth. So people don't understand that you have to go and get it. You have to get up and do the work. You have to go and do the work.
James himself said faith without works
It's
dead.
dead.
You can't have one without the other. If you
Yes.
have all the works in the world, and if you have no belief that it will work, then it's dead. And the opposite is also true. If you have all the faith and you don't go out, take action, do the thing to bring in the income, do the thing to spend the money wisely, then it's also dead. You have to work together.
Yes, that's correct. And I honestly believe that. And I want to also share to our listeners that God doesn't want any of us to live here poor and not enjoy our earthly life. Right? Some people are thinking that, we must just stay here on earth and suffer and then we go to heaven. You are here to live a prosperous, healthy, and wealthy life. And that is starting from reprogramming our mindset to what they taught us initially, that you must just live, be poor, die poor. Remember, God said, I want you to be a blessing, to bless. So when you're a blessing, you can bless others. How are you going to bless people if you are poor? We can't be a blessing if we are poor. So we have to be rich in terms of our thinking, our mindset, our thoughts, and in deeds. That's how God wants us to operate. So, people have their Bible, Charlene, but they don't read it. But just as how you have gone into the Word, right? And God has shown you from the Bible how it is that you can live a prosperous life. And not just a life where we are chasing money, but we are serving God wholeheartedly. And we are living we're living a life that is pleasing to God and still being able to build wealth. So that's what God wants for every single one of us.
There is this warped perception in Christendom. It's not all Christians who believe this, but there are some who believe that you can't, because of the scripture that says you can't serve God and money. People associate it with meaning that if you're rich, you cannot serve God. But it's possible to serve God with money.
Yes.
Right? It all boils down to who sits on the throne of your heart, or what sits on the throne of your heart. If you know deep down that you have an issue with greed, with envy, then I would say you need to go back to the source and have him fix you inside out so that you can then have the wealth to bless others, right? Let's not discount that. There are some who will forever be chasing after money and it will pull them away from
Mm-hmm.
God. But then there are those who know in their heart of hearts that they deeply and sincerely love God, that they will serve God with or without money. And yet they shun money because of this perception that you can't serve God and money, right? Not realizing that if God will forever be on the throne of your heart, if you love Him wholeheartedly, if you will serve Him, whether you're rich or you're poor, just as what Paul says, then you can have wealth. Because for you, it's not about the money. It's about what
Right.
can the money help me to do? What can the money do in my community? What can the money do with my neighbors? What can the money do with my church? So many churches are struggling, and it's one of the things that I'm so passionate about this topic because so many of our Bible believing, Bible preaching churches are struggling because the members don't have any money. So every Sunday they have to be there begging for offerings, begging for tithes, begging for people to plant and sow a seed. When if the members had money, they would have no issues with giving. And then the church could go out and be effective in its community.
Yes.
Right? But the pastors are so burdened, the ministers are so stressed out about money that some of them don't even have the time to pour into the emotional and the spiritual needs of their congregants.
Man, you jumped to a question I was going to ask, but this is so important because my question was going to be, and you answered this, is why is it important that we honor God with our finances? But you said it, Charlene. And as you said, not only is it Bible believing people, it is also the churches, the ministries too that are suffering. Just imagine if you had a congregation where everyone in this congregation understood that you can have money and not be greedy, right? Or too jealous in a way that it takes you away from learning and knowing God and serving God with your whole heart. And you can give back to the church. You can help to build the community in which we live, because really God sent us here to serve. So we should be finding ways to help other people. So if everybody here can give back and build and help someone, and give them a place where they can come back and say, hey, guess what, someone helped me, so now I can help you, and we're there just building up each other. Everybody understand how money works, how the principle of finances work, and everybody is wealthy, because people think that a lot of money is wealth, and that's not it. As you said, money is just a tool. If we get this in our minds and understand that money is only the tool, right? A resource to help to build the wealth that God is have for us, then it would be so easy. But again, it stems from the mindset. It stems from the belief.
Yeah.
It stems from the belief. So my other question for you today also, because now we talk about the mindset, we talk about the, how to plan and have your strategy, and also why it's important that we also, do not take the concept of honoring God with the money the wrong way, because you can be wealthy and still serve God. Let us now look at some of the financial fears that kingdom women or people of God also encounter, because I think one of the main thing is that some of them don't even know the fears, but they're just living, daily with the struggles, and think that they cannot get off the struggle bus. But you did it, I did it, and I'm thanking God every day to wake, open my eyes and let me see that my broke reality was not my final destination. I don't have to live in this broke mentality that, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. I think one of the biggest thing for women is just believing that they're not worthy of more. So I want to ask, one of the main financial fear, I'm just going to say it and then we'll talk about some more, is the fact that women think that they can't get out of debt. They think they can't get out of debt. So can you please share with us today how you were able to move from, that insurmountable debt that you have, to clearing that consumer debt and being debt free when it comes onto those credit cards and stuff, because those will pull you down. They're like some heavyweight chains on your neck and your feet.
So hitting my rock bottom moment, and my relationship with God at that point had started changing, so that I went to him about any and everything. And I remember praying about it. Like, God, something needs to change. This cannot continue. And the very next morning, I woke up with an idea to just start doing research. I literally Googled how to get out of debt. And coupled with that, I started really looking at my finances. I love to look at things very simplistically. Is that a word? I don't know. But
We're making
tend
it
to look
today.
at I tend to look at things in a very simple view, through a
Yes.
simple lens. So I said, okay, Charlie, you are getting paid every single month. And at the end, before the month ends, you're broke. Where is the money going? Because the money must be going somewhere. So that's all I did. I asked myself, where are you spending your money? And I decided that I'm going to start writing it down. I didn't even know that that was a thing at that time, right? I just said, I need to figure out where my money is going, so I'm going to start writing it down. So I went to the supermarket, the grocery store, and I got a little cheap notebook. It was probably like $1.25. And I just started writing down. When I went to the gas station, when I went to the supermarket, when I topped up my phone, because in Cayman, same thing like Jamaica, you put credit or data on your phone. So I started writing down every single thing. And it became very obvious where my money was going. It was not being spent on needs. It was being spent on stuff that I did not need, on wants. So that was where it started. To show you, I realized that I was spending money to buy data, even though at the time I lived less than 5 minutes from work. Work had Wi-Fi. I had Wi-Fi at home. I had Wi-Fi at church. I had Wi-Fi at the gym. And that was pretty much my radius. I would be between one of those 4 places every single day. If I'm driving on the road, I should not be on my phone, right? So therefore, I don't really need internet or data on my phone while driving. So if I live less than 10 minutes from either of these places, why am I spending money every single week to put data on my phone? It was those little things that I started picking up. It was me randomly going to the grocery store, even though I didn't need anything, or I needed one thing and I walked out with 12 things. It was me walking into the home decor store because I had a weakness for that, and buying stuff that I would end up throwing out 6 months later or a year later. And I started realizing exactly where my money was going. Once I started plugging those holes, I was able to use all of that money that I was previously wasting, and I started paying off the debt little by little by little. I started with the smallest one first, and then I worked my way down the line. And when I saw traction, when I saw momentum building, I decided to get hardcore. At the time, my rent was one of my biggest expenses because I was living in the city. As I said, I was less than 5 minutes from work. Right. So it was very convenient. But I realized that a big chunk of my money was going towards rent. So I said, you know what? I am going to move outside of town, save money on rent, save money on utilities, cut my cable, and I'm going to go hardcore for about, I think it was 13 months, right? And I used all of that money and I just started chipping away at the debt. Chipping away. Heads down, I didn't care. I didn't care that I wasn't going out to eat. I didn't care that I wasn't buying any clothes, because now I became borderline obsessed with getting rid of this albatross that was on my neck. I was riddled with anxiety and shame, not to mention the shame because I was an accountant and yet was broke. So there was that shame, there was the anxiety, there was the guilt. So I was determined to get out of it. And that's all I did. Just consistent, daily, weekly, monthly habits that allowed me to essentially clear all of that debt in 15 months. And the beauty of it all is that once I became clear of the debt, I decided to keep the same habits. yes, I moved back to the city because I couldn't deal with the traffic.
Right.
I added in certain more things in my budget, but for the most part, I've been able to maintain the same habits, the same tracking, the same budgeting, the same delayed gratification habits, and those things have allowed me to remain consumer debt free all of these years. It's no magic formula. It was just essentially doing the work.
Awesome. Thank you. And man, yeah. So I got some important points from what you just said because I want to make sure that our listeners get this and how they can, so they can actually use these tips to get out of debt and also to start their own financial debt free journey. An important thing I must share is that you did say face your financial fears and you started by writing them down. Myself, when I realized that I was broke and broken, it was just 3 years ago, because sometimes it doesn't hit us. And as you said, coming from Jamaica, working, have a good job, I'm always having money. I was working in the bank, but every month I'm broke. I'm like, hold on, am I? And I remember Charlene, my daughter, said to me about 8 years ago, she said, Mom, I want to work in a bank. And I said, why would you want to work in a bank? She said, because you work in a bank. I said, no, you can't have that as a reason. She said, I want to manage people money. I said, baby, I work in the bank and all I'm doing is counting money because I am still broke. I said, choose something else where people manage your money. So we have this concept where you are an accountant. People are working in the financial industry, Charlene, and the most thing we do is get a check at the end of the month. But we still don't know how to handle our finances. We still don't know how to create a budget. We still don't know what we owe in total. But we are just living, and as you said, each month, because we have those cards, we just believe that we must swipe, and then we don't know what is happening until the whole house just turned down on us. So as we said before from at the beginning, we do not want women to be going through the same situation where they are actually losing out, where they're actually losing out on how to plan their how to be better with their finances. So at the end of the day, you want to ensure that you face your financial situation by creating better money habits, and that you also write down your finances, what it is that you're owing, what it is that you owe, what do you owe at the moment, that you can catch yourself up and that you can begin to see more money in your at the end of the pay period, and that you can also make a better plans in terms of how you plan out your finances. So you also mentioned that you started to work on your finances in terms of the smaller amount, because you started with the little ones and then you work your way up. It is important that we also, you create your plan based on how your income is, and that you create something that is realistic, because there's something else that you said, that the little things, the more you spend on the little things that you think is not important, like the little trigger shopping, going to buy clothes, and all those stuff, is that you will find yourself spending more than you even realize that you have. So you have to make sure that the decision that you're making is beneficial to you. And another important thing that you said to Charlene is that we also should set timeline goals. Set timeline goals in terms of how you you are going to plan on paying off these debts. So that is also something important. So those are a few little things that you mentioned, and I wanted to also just put this out to our viewers, as our listeners as well, is that it is your responsibility that you It's your responsibility that you take the time to work on your finances and not think of it as a burden. And not think of it as a burden because it is your responsibility that you face your financial situation and take control now, not later. Take it now. A lot of people are waiting until it's too late before they take the necessary steps to work on their finances. So you need to start now and not wait until later. And it is very, very important that you begin to see yourself financially free, and that's important and part of our goal for today. So my other question here for Charlene is, yes, Charlene, my other question for you is, other than the fact that, I was just, mentioning that the little things that, as you said, they add up to big things, and that is also important that we make decisions that's beneficial to us and that we set timeline goals. And another important thing is that you made a sacrifice, ensuring that you had to move back. A lot of people think that if they make financial decisions, that people are going to talk about them. They're going to think that hey, what, she's broke now, so she had to change her lifestyle. She had to go back and do this, and we have to think about it. That's not about people. It's not about people. It's about you. And if you want to ensure that you get out of debt and start your own financial freedom lifestyle, that you don't take advice for people who are in debt. People who are in debt cannot be your role models, so that's very, very important. And as you said too, that our habits become our lifestyle. What you do, that is also part of your lifestyle. So the little things that we do every day, it does add up. All right. So my other question for you, Charlene, would be, how would you advise a woman? I know sometimes, we feel that it's too much. If someone come and one of your potential client and you're saying, you see where they are, you see the numbers, but, she's saying to you, Charlene, I just don't think that I am able to get out of this, that is just too much, and I don't believe that I can do it. What would be your advice to this woman?
Say is, you need to change your belief. As simple as it is, that's where it starts. You have to tackle what's going on internally in order for you to make a change. Because if you don't believe that you will never get out of debt, then you won't get out of debt. Mm-hmm. So tackle that first. Then the second thing is, I don't normally jump to the numbers piece or the logical piece. I start with the emotions. Mm-hmm. That I have my clients first picture a life without all of these debt payments. Yes. How would life change? What would you do different? What would you do with all this money? Picture the money that's currently being paid towards the credit cards and the student loans, mm-hmm. and the car loans. Picture that sitting in your bank account at the end of each month. What would you do differently? What experiences could you give your children? Many of us, we love our moms to death. What would you buy your mom, right? What would you do for yourself? How would you treat yourself? So once you start getting that picture, getting that vision, mm-hmm. clear in your mind, then it changes things, because now you will be clear on exactly why are you going to start this journey. You're going to have something to motivate you to continue while the struggles come, because it's not going to be easy. There are going to be temptations to go back into debt or to stop using the extra money to pay off the debt. But having that little picture of the future in your mind will help you to keep motivated, to keep going even when it gets hard. And the third thing is to face the numbers.
Yep. Yes.
Write it all down. The money that you owe the banks, the money that you owe your friend, the money that you borrowed from your mom, the money that you probably your husband gave to you that he should have used to do something for the house that you borrowed, quote unquote, borrowed. Write down all of them, add them all up, and face the numbers. The reality will hopefully spur you into action, spur you to take some positive movement towards clearing these off. And then the last thing I would say is just pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one out of the list. And know in the finance space where we usually talk about the smallest balance or the one with the highest interest rate. If you're overwhelmed by all of this debt, I will just say pick one, pick anyone. Probably the one that's stressing you out the most.
Yes.
And focus on that. Make minimum payments on everything else. But
Yes.
that's one that you're zeroing on. Use any extra money that you have and make extra payments on that debt. So it might be money that you have left over from grocery shopping, right, for the month. Or it might be a bonus that you're getting from work. Or it might be if you're a small business owner, you landed a client that you weren't expecting and you really don't need that money now. You pay yourself that money, the income from that additional client, and you use that to funnel towards that one debt that you are honing in on. And by doing this consistently, you will start seeing traction. The other thing I would say is keep a note of where your money is going. It's very eye-opening. It's something that a lot of persons are afraid of, but you can't change what you don't face.
Exactly.
And by writing down your numbers, writing down your spending consistently, it's not only is it going to show you where your money is going, but it's also going to spur you to start reducing some of the areas that you are currently spending or wasting money on. So I call them fluff areas or luxury items. If you have high amounts of debt, you can't afford to be spending money on those fluff items and those luxury items, because the priority should be getting out of debt and being able to give yourself that life that we talked about in step number 1.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Charlene. Yes. And so it's possible. Ladies, it is possible. But the thing that you have to do first is to face your financial fears. And that is the fear, whatever it is. It is you're fearful of budgeting. It is fearful of actually just looking at your numbers, as you said, Charlene. That's so important. And that's where we started. You don't want to see what I wrote on my paper when I realized where I was. But I had a name for my financial situation. This is what it was. And I had debt, insurmountable amount of debt, credit card debt, as you said, personal loans. I said, God, this could not be it. And I started to write, I will pay this one off in 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, the higher the debt, the cards with the higher amount or interest. I had a plan. So as Charlene said, you need to have a strategy. How are you going to work your way out of debt? But it is possible. Don't let your beliefs, don't let anyone tell you that you cannot come out of the consumer debt or any debt that you're in at all. You can, but you have to first look at where you are. Just say, this is where I'm at. And that's something I always have my coaching clients do as well. Hello, write everything down that you owe. I want to look at it. This is where you are. Just say this is where you are. It doesn't matter how we may look, because now you put everything together. You're like, oh my God, I owe all this money. Yes, you do. But now you know. So now you're facing the financial fears now. So you know. So now we can now create a plan to work it on. As you said, something very, very important. We have to envision a new belief before we start to work on our financial freedom life or new financial journey in terms of becoming debt free. We have to envision a new belief. Being debt free, enjoying the fruit of our labors, taking that nice trip that you want, doing something nice for your family, doing something nice for your kids. Don't have to struggle with 3-4 jobs to make it. Because God didn't create you to struggle and be depressed and stressed every day. That is not the life of a kingdom woman. That is not supposed to be the life for any believer at all. So we have to get to the place where we are changing those beliefs, change our thinking, and the way how we do this is to face our financial fears. Charlene, my last question for you today will be, what would be your, what advice or just something that you would just, to wrap up our talk today, that you will say to the to our listeners, in terms of them moving from where they are to their new life or their new belief, on their financial journey?
I would say give yourself the permission to live a different life. Many of us, we think that where we are, that's where we will forever be. And we don't give ourselves the permission or the authority to dream differently, to think differently, to do differently. So I would start there. Allow yourself to dream a little. Allow yourself to picture a different life. Allow yourself to see yourself as being wealthy, as being prosperous, as being a woman of impact, of being a woman living out her purpose and not being riddled by financial circumstances. Picture yourself living as how God intended you to, and start there. Surround yourself with people who can help you to steward that vision, steward that new life, and you will be amazed at how quickly circumstances can change. I've seen it over and over in the lives of my clients. In less than 3 months, they start seeing a turnaround in their finances, all because they dared to think differently, do differently, and to dream big.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And as I always say, ladies, you can dream big regardless of the size of your bank account. I'm a big believer, big faith mover. So once God says move, whether my account is zero or in negative, when I started out on my financial journey, that's where I was. But I decided that I will not let the debt or just being broke or feeling broken, because sometimes we don't move ahead because we don't feel it. We don't feel that we are worthy, as you said, and know that you can be wealthy. So wealth first is a mindset, it's a belief. How do you feel? How do you see yourself? Being impactful and doing things for God, doing things in the kingdom. Then you'll begin to move from lack and the limits to being limitless and tap into that wealth belief. So thank you so much, Charlene. I just want to share some things with our listeners before we go, in terms of our talk, that today, if you want to get to the place where you are living debt free, just start today. Getting that piece of paper, getting that notebook, and just write down everything that you owe. You cannot tackle debt if you don't know what you owe. It starts by becoming money conscious. Let me see where I'm at. List all your debt, and then you begin to tackle them. All right. And when you begin to take action, make sure it will make you feel so much better, because now you're working on your financial health. So now is the time, before we even finish this year, and I know we're going into a new year, I want you to begin to face your finances and take control, because when you face your finances, it will reduce stress and get you closer to having financial freedom. Debt, my friends, will always keep you from living a rich and fulfilling life and staying true to your God-given purpose. So I want to thank Money Coach, I call her Money Coach Charlene, that's what she is, for taking the time to come and speak with us today. And Charlene, I just want you to tell our listeners how they can contact you in terms of, reaching out to you, getting more information about how to do personal finance coaching with you as well.
Sure. So anyone who wants to reach out to me for a free consultation to find out more about coaching, you can go to www.bit.ly/CMC call, and we can set up a time to talk. So that's bit.ly/CMCCALL.
All right. And if you didn't get that as well, make sure you find her on Instagram. She is Money Coach Charlene, and she's right there. You can send her a direct message. She will send you the link so you can schedule a free consult with her to see how she can help you to start your own financial freedom journey. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Broke is No Joke podcast, where we help kingdom-minded women move from poverty to prosperity. Because one thing I can tell you, you are created to be wealthy, and you are a worthy woman. Have a wonderful and blessed day.